255 AD says, I read in a study that men assumed women would think the most attractive superhero is Batman, but women actually picked Spider-Man. Why do you think that is? Because they don't have to look at his face. Like they just say, keep the mask on, and they don't have to watch. They don't have to look at his face. Because who knows what kind of weird faces he's making. But, you know, people make weird faces when they're in the act. And sometimes that's off-putting for people. So you don't have to see his face. It's in the mask. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to make eye contact. Because, like, if you're not really close with someone, if it's just like a hookup, sometimes people don't really like the eye contact. And Spider-Man has the big opaque eyes. You don't have to worry about it. Oh, Jason, that's a good point, because Spider-Man is not godlike or brooding. That's true. Spider-Man is strong, but I don't think he's so strong that you would have like a Man of Steel, Woman of Kleenex situation if like you were having sex with Spidey, you know? Like, I don't think his cum would come out of your back like a shotgun blast, like Superman's would. According to Larry Niven and also me. Like, I believe that for a fact. Those kids that Lois and Clark have in Superman and Lois, that's artificial insemination. He jacked off into some kind of like special Kryptonian cup that he had in the Fortress of Solitude, and they turkey basted that shit. There's no way that he's coming inside Lois. She'd be fucking dead. There, you can't control that. It's an involuntary act. It's an involuntary action. You can't choose to ejaculate at a lower velocity. It just doesn't work unless that's one of Superman's powers. Maybe that's one of Superman's powers. But no, any human person that took a load from a Kryptonian would be dead. It's just a fact. It's just the way it is. David Colby, it's called tactile telekinesis. Yeah, okay. So again, is it like it's a power, an extra power that Superman has that we've never heard about? Boxy Brown, Soup's got Lois pregnant with pre-cum. Carlisle, the Cinephile, says, can someone explain to me how we got on the topic of Superman's jizz? Because someone pointed out that apparently there was like some kind of a opinion poll that said that women, I guess hetero women, are more attracted to Spider-Man than to Batman. And I said, that makes sense. Or to Superman. And I said, that makes sense because Spider-Man is strong, but he's not as strong as Superman. So you wouldn't have to worry about taking a load from him and, you know, getting fucking murdered by it. Bronwyn Driver says, regarding Superman, I have questions. How strong must a condom be for him to have sex safely? And how many incidents must have occurred during his teenage years? Well, I mean, that's a perfect example of the kind of experimentation that he would have to engage in the Fortress of Solitude, which is the only place on Earth where he could truly have the privacy to do that. He would have to test condoms from different materials, maybe some kind of kryptonite irradiated condom, like not enough to seriously weaken him, but enough to, make it like a safe procedure for his human partner. And that's something that would just have to be trial and error, my assumption is that there were no accidents with other people when Clark was a teenager. Like I don't think there's any incident where he had to cover up the death of a girl in his class because he accidentally blew the back of her head off when he was getting his first blowjob. I think he was probably, he was exploring his sexuality as most people in their adolescence do. And he busted his first nut, by hand on his own. And he blew a hole in the wall, maybe blew a hole in his ceiling, and had to think fast and explain to his parents what that was, or maybe not. Maybe he got caught. Maybe his dad came in and knew exactly what had happened, like right away. But once he realized what the situation was and how fast that shit was coming out of there and how dangerous it was to anyone who was, in the target zone, then he, as Superman does, he behaved with a great deal of responsibility, and he didn't take on another human partner until he had had a chance to conduct the aforementioned experimentation in the Fortress of Solitude. But Jason, no, that's what I'm saying. You say Superman has super control. If he can shake a human hand, he can control his ejaculate. Ejaculating is not a voluntary thing. You control, humans can control how hard they shake someone's hand. You can't control how fast your fucking jizz comes out. It just happens how it happens. So why would Superman be able to control it? Again, unless, as I said, there is a specific additional superpower that he has that allows him to do that. David says, so Steve, if Superman cannot come safely, then how the fuck does he not blow his cover every time he sneezes, dude? He has to be able to control that kind of function. Why would Superman ever sneeze? He would never sneeze. He's Superman. Checkmate. He never sneezes. He does presumably jizz every once in a while. He never sneezes. You think you throw some pepper in Clark Kent's face and he's going to involuntarily sneeze? Fuck you. Dragonfire Gaming says the whole Superman condom thing got me thinking Supes had to at least once have been watching Kryptonian porn on his laptop while testing an experimental condom. Well, yeah, you think, Jor-El probably didn't have a chance to clear his browser history before he sent him off in the rocket because Krypton was, disintegrating. So all of Jor-El's, browser history was imported onto the spaceship and then became a part of the Fortress of Solitude. So when Clark grew up and discovered the fortress and was looking around, he probably found all of his dad's old porn. And that's what he used to, facilitate his condom experiments. All right, Jason, fair point. If you're writing a Superman story and you decide to include in the story that he can control his jizz velocity, fair enough. He's a fictional character. I'm just saying, all other things being equal. And also, I just think it's just a lot more fun to imagine that he has this thing he has to deal with. Like, it's, okay, he could, there's no fun there. Oh, don't worry, he can control his jizz. Oh, okay, never mind. Like, isn't it more fun to think about Superman having to worry about this every day of his life? He never knows. What if he loses control and he fucking kills somebody with a blob of semen just like flashing through their body, just tearing through their flesh and bone at supersonic speed? Like, that's a terrible burden to have to carry around. And yet somehow he carries that burden and he still manages to be an inspiring, friendly, benevolent person. Like, that's a hero to me. That's a hero to me. But no, never mind. Let's just write it off. Let's just take care of it with a little flick of the pen. No, he can control his jizz. All right, then, never mind. That's true, Knit and Crochet Tiger. He could get, yes, there are Kryptonian colonies that have been mentioned in various comics and stuff where he could get fresh Kryptonian. And you know what else? I bet Bottle City of Kandor, they're probably fucking like crazy in that thing. There's probably a robust pornographic tape trade in the Bottle City of Kandor. And her grave said, R.I.P. Lois Lane, death by super jizz, says Dragonfire Gaming. Yeah, and it would be carved by Superman's heat vision. Kirok 2011 says, how do you know Kryptonian's jizz? Because Superman and Lois have had kids in multiple versions of the characters. How are you going to make a baby without some jizz? They call it baby batter for a reason. Jason says, why don't Superman just fill up the Bottle City of Kandor with his jizz? Exactly. And it wouldn't take very long because it comes out so fast. See, now we're communicating. Maybe that's how Superman finally gets rid of the Bottle City of Kandor. Maybe he comes home to the fortress. He's had a bad day. Lex Luthor is fucking his shit up. He just had to fight Brainiac. And then he comes back to the fortress, and what's sitting on his fucking end table but the Bottle City of Kandor, the ultimate reminder of what a fucking just annoyance that Brainiac is. An entire city shrunken by Brainiac, and Superman can't figure out how to rebig it. So what does he do? He says, I'm sick of having his fucking city under a bottle in my fortress. Fuck this place. Fuck this city. Fuck all the people that live here. And he opens up the little top of the glass bottle, which I'm just going to say is there so he can reach inside, and he just starts whacking it. Supersonic speed. Before you know it, full of jizz, all the little tiny Kryptonians are drowned, puts the lid back on, flies up into space, flings it into the sun. Nobody even knows. Nobody even knows the difference. He gets one of those models from DC Direct, and he puts it in the fortress. So if anybody visits, they won't notice that the Bottle City of Kandor is gone and start asking a bunch of nosy questions. Oh, Steve Schmeling says, since we're all in on this, who's got a more powerful money shot, Superman or He-Man? I gotta say Superman. I don't think He-Man is as strong as Superman. I think if He-Man and Superman were to arm wrestle, I think Superman would probably win. And I think if you were to measure, like the muzzle velocity of their penises, I think that Superman's would be faster as well. Chris Riker has a good suggestion. The tiny Kryptonians will ride the spermatozoa, which will roar. I like that too. That's a different direction you could take it. Kirok, see, yes, in Superman Returns, yeah, that is a sequel to Superman 2, where he has sex with Lois when he's in human form, and that's where the Jason, the child in Superman Returns, came from. So that's, yeah, there no further explanation needed there. That was not an artificial insemination. That was Superman in a temporarily human form conceiving a child with another human in the usual way, in a giant silver beanbag chair. I just picture those poor Kandorians fighting giant indestructible sperm. Oh, God, I wish somebody would make this movie. Or that this would be an episode of Superman and Lois before it goes off the air. I don't think there's going to be time. They've only got 10 episodes this season, and I feel like there's just not going to be room for a wacky Bottle City of Kandor episode where the Kandorians are fighting Superman's gigantic sperm. My Adventures with Superman does air on Adult Swim. I mean, it seems like it's aimed at a younger audience, but I'm just saying, like, if they wanted to really go for the Adult Swim thing, like, they could do that as an episode of My Adventures with Superman, and I'm sure it would be fucking delightful.